Okay, let's have a brief look at the NBA Christmas Day games. They were first played in 1947. It was a one-off game between the New York Knicks and the Providence Steamrollers, which was 89-75 win to the Knicks. Now, between 47 and now, it has grown to a five-game fixture list. There's now five games played on Christmas Day as it currently stands. Um, the first game was played at Madison Square Garden. Surprise, surprise. But there was no game in 1998 due to a lockout shortened season. So for 70 out of the last 71 seasons, there has been a game on Christmas Day. The New York Knicks actually have all the records. Ironically, they've played the most games, they've won the most games, they've lost the most games. So they're the record holders in all departments of games played with 53, 22 wins, 31 losses. They're all records. So the Knicks seem to get a lot of games on Christmas Day, which may annoy other teams or may not annoy other teams. The NBA Christmas games have garnered praise. It is considered by some to be the best game or games of the regular season when it comes to regular season games, and it also gets a high TV audience as well. TV ratings for the Christmas Day games are sky high. Um, However, with all this praise saying the TV ratings are good and the crowd numbers actually at arenas are good, criticism is getting stronger and stronger, and we've seen players and coaches fined for being outspoken on their criticism of the games at Christmas Day. I've put up two names here, LeBron James and Phil Jackson, because they were both at the Lakers at the time. Now, Phil Jackson was the Lakers coach at the time these comments were made a few years ago, and obviously LeBron James now plays for the Lakers. Yeah. Both have come out to players and coaches and the backroom staff for spending time away from their family at Christmas. Um, the US is a bit more, I would say, religious than the UK. The UK, I think, is more secular now than what it was 20, 30 years ago. But this is a big holiday in the US. Over here in the UK, we have the Boxing Day Premier League, English Premier League football matches, so soccer to the Americans, and that's a big thing. We obviously have the football, and we have the Boxing Day horse racing meet at Kempton Park, the King George VI Chase meet. So there are a lot of sporting events that take place on Boxing Day, the day after Christmas. Now, Boxing Day is not a tradition in the US. It is in Canada, but not in the US. Um, and so there is a lot of sport over the festive period, both in North America and in Europe. The NHL has its mid-season break. It has a 4-day break, 3-4 day break. They start playing again this evening. The NFL has its Thanksgiving Day game, which is their traditional game in the US. Is on the Thanksgiving, the last Thursday or Friday, I believe, in November. So they have the Thanksgiving game. So in the festive period, yes, there are certain days where there is a lot of games. But the criticism is from LeBron James and Phil Jackson, and among others, other players and coaches have come out and have actually been fined by the NBA for saying they're not happy with these games. I'm actually bordering on the line of criticism a little bit. I do think, yeah, while sport is a 24/7, 365-day a year business, there does need to be some downtime. Um, there have been criticisms of a lot of the festive fixtures in a lot of sports around the world, saying, hang on a second, this is a bit much. Um, there are calls to have mid-season breaks of leagues that take place at this time of year. But they're not the only leagues who have played games on Christmas Day. The NHL is another league that I am aware of. There may be more that did play games on Christmas Day between the 21-22 season and the 71-72 season. And Gordie Howe is the record holder for games played, points, goals, assists. The NHL suddenly stopped in 72. So, for whatever reason, I will look into the NHL Christmas Day games and why they stopped. But the NBA has been consistent. We can't knock them for that. And the NBA wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the NHL, because the NHL team owners wanted to gain revenues for their rinks, their arenas, by having NBA. So these two leagues are intrinsically linked. Not only did Gary Bettman both work for both leagues, but the NHL are also important. The National Hockey League and getting the National Basketball Association arenas, because these leagues are linked, and there could be a link here. But they decided to stop doing the Christmas Day games in '72. It's an interesting one. I can understand the fan base wanting it and buying in with the TV audience, with the high crowds at arenas, and considering it is meant to be some of the best games of the regular season. Plus, the previous year's finalists normally get a game, hence why it's grown to 5. So it does garner interest for some of the biggest teams playing, such as the Knicks. And there's also other criticism that certain teams don't get enough appearances during the Christmas Day fixtures. So there seems to be a bias towards some teams playing more than others, and those teams that play more work out, yeah, we are going to be away from our families for part or the whole day or travelling. So there is praise and criticism in equal measure. I'm more coming down on criticism. I do think sport sometimes just needs that break for a day or two, but I can understand why the NBA are doing it because the money coming in, it's a profit winner. Whilst it keeps making profit and fans keep watching and keep going to games, they will keep hosting games on Christmas Day. Um, and if the fans start turning off and going, hey, we're not happy with this, then they might reconsider. But a few players and a few coaches coming out and a few teams coming out and saying either we're not getting enough coverage on Christmas Day, which is one of the criticisms, or we are spending too much time away from family and friends and we want a break. Until the fans stop buying in on the Christmas Day games, the NBA is not going to change tact. Um, and it's only not been played for once since 1947, so it's been consistently played for over 70 years. But there we go. There's a brief look at the NBA playing games on Christmas Day. I will look at the NHL and why they stopped at some point, but that's further down the line. There are other things to look at, like the career titles of certain players on Christmas Day or Boxing Day games. There are certain teams that do very, very well over the festive period and certain teams that do not. And it's not just the NBA, it's a variety of leagues. If anyone else knows of any other leagues that have played games on Christmas Day, please feel free to add in the comment section below. I'll be very interested to find out what other leagues have also decided to host or play games on Christmas Day or events on Christmas Day. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, place your comments below, and I'll have some more videos for you soon.